Hello Sodbusters, it's February 1st and after a fairly cold January we have temperatures in the 60s today. So I'm taking an opportunity to check out some of my hives. Now so far I've seen activity at all of my backyard hives and I'm real happy about that. But I'm particularly concerned about my 3 Langstroth hives. Last year, after hearing about single deep brood box management, I decided to give that a try and it worked pretty well. To me, it seems like it kind of follows what Dr. Tom Seeley found about bees, that they prefer a fairly small brood cavity, and so I liked that part of it. But as I was going into winter and researching the method and what needs to be done to prepare for winter, every source I found said that it was absolutely necessary to feed the bees to prepare them for winter because they have such a small space to store winter food. And that makes sense, but I'm not crazy about that because I would prefer to let the bees keep the food that they've built up naturally, harvesting only the surplus, and not do any artificial feeding. So I may change up my method of management on these hives this year, but for now I want to check and see how these 3 are doing. I did a thermal image on these hives a few days ago, and 2 of them look pretty strong. 1 of them, not too sure. So let's take a look and see how they're doing. This first hive I'm getting into is the one that I mentioned that I had a little concern about, just based on the thermal image. But because I have these hives wrapped in insulating material, the thermal imaging may not be as reliable as I'd like. I'm going to see if I can open this up without pulling off my wrapping. I may have to pull at least one side off. I did put a queen excluder on here, as you can see, and the only reason for that is to help to keep this quilt box from sagging too much. Based on what I'm seeing right now, I think my concerns were unwarranted, but we'll see how much they have in terms of honey. Last year I started using playing cards to identify the hives, and the bees have pretty much completely chewed up this card. Have to check my records. I think this may have been the 3 of diamonds. We'll see. Well, looks like a pretty good number of bees hanging out here. This frame is still pretty heavy. Alright, so it looks like a pretty good number of bees, and they've got honey on these ends that they haven't touched. The next frame is also pretty well full of honey. And I can see capped honey on that 3rd frame as well, and the 4th. So looking through there, I think they are looking fine. Since those stores look good there, I'm not going to dig any farther. There's really no need to disrupt their brood nest at this time of year. I'm really kind of surprised at how calm those bees are, because I was expecting this time of year, the foragers aren't really out doing much. And so I was really expecting that they would all be ready to defend their hive being opened up this early in the year. Everything looks pretty good there. We'll move on to the next hive. Based on the result from that first hive, I kind of expect we'll see good news in these other hives as well. But I'm going to go ahead and take a look just to be sure. And on the last hive, as I closed them up, I was saying I didn't want to disturb their brood area any more than necessary. And that's not to say that they have any brood this time of year, and there's not really a need for me to look for that. It's a little early, but more what I meant is just that I don't want to tear apart any comb that they have in there. If they have any cross comb or anything, they wouldn't really have resources to repair that if I'm tearing it apart without using up some of the honey stores they have. So I really don't want to mess with that right now. I don't know if you can see on camera there, I'm already seeing bees active there. But again, they seem pretty calm, pretty chill about what's going on up here. Well, my camera battery died on that last inspection. I did get a couple snapshots of the frame I pulled out of there and the frames next to it, which are right up against the cluster, and they are still packed with honey in there. So I'm not concerned about them. let's go ahead and look at this last one. If anybody is curious about the insulation I use on the top, I just use a spacer box with 3.5 inches of rock wool insulation. This is not fiberglass, it's rock wool, so it doesn't have the itch factor to it, and yet it provides good insulation for the top of the hive. On the bottom of that, on 2 of these boxes, I just have a piece of fabric. On the other, I have a piece of hardware screen cloth, like you use for a window screen, and that seems to work pretty well. This one, they didn't eat up my card, the 4 of spades. I don't even remember seeing a card in the last one. I think that one they might have completely disposed of last year. The population looks pretty good, just looking down through the hole there. So they're not hurting for bees, and they're looking pretty calm. Starting to rain a little bit. I wasn't expecting that, so I'll be quick as I can here. And again, we've got nearly a full frame of honey here. And the one next to it just as well. Some of this comb in here, this is a colony that I did a cutout a while back, and some of that comb that I cut out is still in this hive, and so there's a little bit of wonky comb right through here, and some cross combing. So I don't want to tear that apart. I just want to make sure they still have resources. And as I look down in here, I can still see some capped honey on the corners of these. Can't tell in the middle because I got bees in there, but it looks like right now they are certainly not starving out for resources. And that's what I wanted to confirm. So that at least settles my concerns that these hives might be running out of honey. They are absolutely not. So I'm happy about that. So the worry wart in me is very pleased to report that these hives are doing fine. I was really concerned, as I mentioned at the beginning, that with that single deep brood management that they were going to run out of honey fairly quickly over the winter, but it seems like they had plenty. I still don't like the necessity to feed going into winter. I don't do that with my Layens hives, and is it totally necessary with these? I can't say that feeding that I did is what built them up. They had pretty good stores before that. I don't think it hurt, but I'm more confident with deep frames where the bees can store a wider band of honey at the top. I do think having the insulation on these hives probably gave some benefit. I think having that insulation to help the bees maintain temperature within the hive requires them to burn less calories to generate heat and in turn consume less honey. In short, these bees are looking pretty good. How are your hives looking coming out of winter? Leave a comment below and let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.